It's still the economy, stupid. It is absolutely the economy. Period. Case closed. The economy's the thing that matters most. Do I think... I'm still unclear about the whole thing. I know they tariff stuff. It is what it is. We can't go after everybody with tariffs. And the way tariffs work, I mean, they're not good for us, but you've got to have a vision for people. This is the vision for this. This is the vision for that. These are the things we're going to do based on this because of this. You tell people why you're doing these things. It makes life easier. When you don't tell them, when you do not inform them why things are going in this direction or that direction, why we're doing this, why we're not doing that, that's when things, well, people feel uncomfortable. And it's going to cost more. Crude oil, the crude that we need, as I've explained before, comes from Canada. We need a certain kind of crude that our refineries are ready to refine for. So expect gas prices to rise. And then you move into the next couple of weeks as we head in towards spring. Then you get to the point where it's like, well, it's going to have to be a summer blend, as they tend to do. Then you'll see prices rise a little bit more. And then you get to, obviously, Memorial Day. But we know that when energy prices rise, goods rise. How long will people accept it? Well, if you are doing it because you haven't given them a clear path, they're not going to accept it as long as if you tell them, the reason we're doing this is this. You know, I don't want to hear, oh, Canada has fentanyl. Less than 1%, by the way, of fentanyl comes through Canada. So that's not really like, well, they tax our dairy. I get that. There's a lot of places that tariff off that we don't tariff. I don't want to get into trade war around the world. And seeing as we're a consumer-based nation, we stopped producing a lot of stuff a long time ago. That was kind of our issue. Speaking of Canada, oh, for sure, blackface himself, Trudeau.
Markets are down, and inflation is set to rise dramatically all across your country. Your government has chosen to put American jobs at risk, at the thousands of workplaces that succeed because of materials from Canada or because of consumers in Canada, or both.
Both. We'll see. Again, why? I get Mexico is an easier one to get because when you look at Mexico, there is a lot of issues that Mexico has. They've placated a lot of groups of people, including the cartels, to allow mass migration through their country. They don't want them there. By the way, they kick your ass out so fast. They're like, andale, woo, woo. If you come over there and you decide, hey, I'm from Honduras, I'm staying. They're like, no, you're not. You can either go back to Honduras, you can go to Guatemala, you can go to El Salvador. You can't stay here, or you can go to America. Hell, go to Canada. We don't care. So I understand that side of it. And the fentanyl side, I understand as well. But you've got to explain it to the people. It just, you treat people like adults, you'd be surprised how they react. People are willing to tighten their belt if they know there's a reason. Is there an end game? People are willing to tighten their belt if you say, look, the reason I'm doing this is because we can't sell butter there. And our butter farmers came to me, and the Butter Farmer Coalition of America, they're suffering. And we really want to sell our butter there. And, you paint the picture for the people, and you're like, okay, I get that. Okay, fair. Same thing with Mexico. Easy, simple. We get that because this is a dog and pony show that has gone around, right? We've seen this show with Mexico. Back and forth. We're going to do this. You guys better do that. We're going to start hitting you guys with remittance tax. Then we've seen this show before. But Mexico is our biggest trading partner. And this is 25% tariff on all goods except for oil, Canada, which is 10% give or take. And apparently they're willing to continue to come hard if they need to.
The U.S. tariffs came into effect in the early hours of this morning, and so did the Canadian response. Canada will be implementing 25% tariffs against $155 billion worth of American goods.
So So back and forth we're going to go. And as long as you explain it to people, but then you have to ask yourself, what is the point, the breaking point for some people? If you're sitting good, paying a few bucks more for something, not a big deal. I can go without this for a little while. But if this becomes something that drags on for months and months with no end in sight, and inflation continues and high prices continue and your pay isn't rising, that's the question that I think people are going to start to ask themselves. My thing has always been this with tariffs. If we produce it, okay, so we produce it. Want to ship it somewhere? If they are going to hit us with tariffs, we hit them with tariffs. If we do not produce it, if we do not make it, there is zero reasons to tariff it. Because that only hurts the consumer. Because let's be real. Today, when they announce 25%, who do you think that's going to hit? That's going to hit you and I and everybody else. That's who that hits. Doesn't hit other people. It hits us. Because that gets passed down to us. Period.
We've done big things together on the world stage, as Canada and the U.S. have done together for decades, for generations. And now we should be working together to ensure even greater prosperity for North Americans in a very uncertain and challenging world.
We'll be fine. Give people the picture. Look, I look at it, I'm not emotional about stuff. I don't do that. It's not my jam. I'm a little Spockish. Sometimes my wife says, we'll see. But one thing I do know is we have a short attention span. We're a very fickle bunch of people. And we will get upset fast. Especially if we don't think things are going a certain way. When you keep people informed, you'd be surprised how easy it is to paint the vision you want to go to and go for it. And they'll give you more leeway. If you just hear, trust me, a lot of people, especially nowadays in government, that's not a big thing. Trust me. I'm going to say no on that. No on that, indeed.